Hi, it's Joyce Schwarz, and I wanted to walk you through an excerpt from the English version of the presentation that I did on Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 in Bogota and in Medellin, Colombia. And I wanted to go ahead and start just exactly I did to the large audience there, because what I did was hold up my book called Multimedia Gateway to the Next Millennium. And I said, just like I'm saying now, wouldn't it be nice if I had someone from Star Trek, the TV show and the DVD, to introduce me here? And fortunately, as an author, you can always go back to a book that you wrote, no matter when it was. Brian Braga, co-producer of Star Trek, The Next Generation, actually wrote the preface for this book back in 1994. And the wonder of working with someone as brilliant as Brian and as a creator of Star Trek, The Next Generation, is that I turn to this page and I see he says that if we could only travel through time and glimpse the future. Unfortunately, this isn't Star Trek, where people jump through time, like I said, jaunt to the corner market. But you do hold in your hands the next best thing. Multimedia Gateway to the Next Millennium explores the future of telecommunications, film, and broadcasting, and the impact of technology on education, entertainment, and the world at large. It's a seminal book. And he goes on to say, thank God, because never in the history of mankind have so many technologies emerged all at once, all with the potential to redefine the way we live and think, for the good or the bad. Will the real future be like Star Trek? I hope so. The moment we lose sight of our humanity and the idea that multimedia technology should enhance our existence but not replace it is the moment we're in danger of becoming a new and disturbing animal, and at worst, an interconnected mass of mentalities like the Borg. And if you'll remember from the movie and from the television show, the Borg is a half-person, half-technology, maybe even more than that, kind of creature that lives in a mass of artificial intelligence where each one feeds off of each other, and rather than being individuals like you and me. So today what I'm going to do is talk about something that is changing our way and creating more than individualism and a sense of personalization than anything we've seen in terms of technology in our lives. And I'm pleased to open this by talking to you more about what's called Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. So what am I actually talking about here? What does Joyce mean? Well, if I move forward and I take a look at what others have said about the area of Web 3.0 or Web 2.0, let me just start with Web 2.0. The Internet, the first generation, of course, was the one that we used to access information. And what we did was search for stuff. In this generation called Web 2.0, what we're doing is discovering. And here, if we look at Bob Greenberg, who's a colleague of mine and COO of RGA and wrote in Adweek recently, that with Web 2.0, we've come full circle to the early promise of the Internet and what made it great in the first place. If Web 2.0 represents community and social collaboration on a large scale, then in many ways we've gone back to the future of what the Internet was all about. So true. And if we look at what Tim O'Reilly said, Web 2.0 is the understanding the network is the platform. And on the network, as a platform, the rules for business are different. The cardinal rule is this one: users add value. And that's what we're here today. No more the same. No more the same, as it simply says in Spanish up there. It's a cocktail of different kinds of opportunities for your client and for you too. Many people think that Web 2.0 will save us. I'm not sure about that, but I do think that we can narrow down and explain to you some of these buzzwords which continue to zoom around us, things like P2P and podcasts and apps and AJAX and mashups and RSS and wikis and social media and clouds. Oh, look at that big slide with even more of it, bots and robots and blogs and social gaming. And if we look again at this ecosystem of Web 2.0, you can see things like folksonomy. It becomes extremely complex. And if we look at a colored graphic of this, infographic of it, what we find is it's even more complex. But when we narrow it down to what's actually happening, we found some of these services that are actually creating a way for us to connect and discover, not search anymore, but truly discover. And you can see in terms of actually using pictures and images, we're beginning to communicate in a much stronger visual manner. And that's what's so interesting about all of this, the idea of actually being able to communicate to us individually, one-to-one, and just what Dawn Peppers is talking to about us today. The idea of actually being able to walk into an internet cafe anywhere in the world and instant message your friend or actually leave a comment on a Facebook page, so exciting. Instant messengers are very, very hot still in Latin America, and as we find the idea of moving forward and using SMS and text messages on the phone, of course, which becomes our second and fourth and third screen and even our first in this day and age. What's so fascinating, and Que Pasa here, is 25 fastest growing countries on Facebook, and the latest words I had or statistics I had for this were for 2008. But you really look at it in Chile, Venezuela, Argentina, Colombia, we're having 246% growth in Colombia. Que pasa? Lots and lots of talk, lots and lots of networking, social networking. Flickr, uploading pictures. You're seeing a lot of that all around the world, and certainly you're seeing a fair share of that in Colombia too, in terms of the world share of time and use online. 25.2 hours a month in terms of social networking and online engagement by country. And certainly if we look at here, we're seeing even Colombia is actually at the 25.1 hours. And in Canada, we have 42. And in the United States, we have 32. And I would actually go out the limb and say that we're probably at least 30% more of that as you're watching this right now. The internet penetration, of course, is still moving forward, as is broadband penetration. But Facebook, we look at Facebook and we look at a staggering Latin growth of 2.3 million users, new users in Chile during the last 6 months, 2 million new users in Colombia, and another million users in Venezuela. Wow, in the last 6 months, and we're talking about speaking here to you in October of 2009. As we move forward into the next 6 months, we could have even double that. Web 2.0 projected revenues. Can anybody really make any money on the internet? Is everything always going to be free? Now, I remind you that you're not just part of Colombia. You are not just one country. You are certainly part of the whole Latino, American, and Americas, and around the world purchasing power of U.S. $1 trillion by 2010 in the United States alone. So this becomes your audience. These become your people. This becomes your tribe. The idea of communicating beyond to those people of like mind who are of Latino background or have Latino relationships or speak some Spanish or of doing business in Spanish-speaking countries. We know that many of you here work at companies, and so what we want to do is to see what is actually driving this, what you call B2C, business to consumer social media. And we find a tremendous growth in 53% of the firms increasing their social media spending, the rise of what some people say is social computing. And if we move on here, we see that this is happening worldwide in terms of technology. Of course, number one up there is video sharing, blogs, RSS, which is syndication, social networking, and I would dare say if we look at where the future of mobile technology is going and mobile messaging and mobile media messaging in terms of sending videos, we're going to find exponential rises in terms of this. The social networking category has reached more than 80% of the Latin American internet users in the month of July of 2008. Totally astounding. Now, if we get to and come to Colombia, where we already are, we're seeing your country actually using Web 2.0 to get to the heart of what they call travel and tourism and trade and bringing new visitors to your country. It's not just tourism, it's visitors. It's people like you and me that are traveling around the world, and what starts on business, yes, perhaps paid for our business, by our companies or by someone who's paying us for speaking here, goes on, and I'm going to spend at least 3-4 more days on my own, as we would say in America, on my own dime, but certainly I will be spending Colombia money on international money in terms of credit cards around the world. Now, if we look at the impact of Web 2.0 on the community out there, we find a wonderful example in Colombia. We find the Library of Parks in Medellin. This is a fabulous program which has received the 2009 Access to Learning Award and won $1 million from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. What a fabulous experience to turn a park or libraries into a park area so that people all over that community will have a place to come and use the Internet and, of course, not just the Internet, iPads, iPods, all of the various opportunities that are coming forward to us in terms of immersive education and training. Once again, we look at chicks are ruling. Yo, chicas. We've got 57% of the women using Facebook. 57% of women are using Twitter. Actually, Twitter's users are 50% women. You get that idea here. Now, if we move on, we found what is the one thing that people really want from Web 2.0 and beyond. It's truth, of course, confianza, the idea of actually confidence. The winner will be whoever you trust. There's no doubt about this. We move into Web 3.0. We see that Eric Schmidt talked about it being just a marketing term. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this in a much broader sense. Web 3.0 is anywhere, anytime, and what we call platform independent. You'll be able to use it night, day, 24/7, 365. I call it content unleashed. And this is a fabulous kind of experience, but once again, guess what it brings? New buzzwords. And with these new buzzwords, including ITV and Web Squared and mobisodes and mixed reality, none of that really matters. What matters is what kind of content you create. The consumer is the medium. The brand is the buzz in this new world. Prosumer, a lot of you know, certainly those of you in this audience, those of you that have teenagers at home, those of you that have college students that perhaps work for you or with you, you find that all of them truly believe that they can what? Design and create entertainment. And what reinforces that? YouTube, Facebook, their blogs. Many of them become quite proficient at it, and that's why we come up with the term of prosumer. The consumer who's really using a lot of the professional media, a lot of the professional technology to actually create this. The idea of international media consumption goes up dramatically as we move forward and see what's really happening. AOL Latino, if you look at just that alone. If we look at the idea of bites of content, media snacks, media to go, a whole idea of the Spanish-speaking internet market size just really moving forward with great expression and passion. Here we have it. A great example, Ugly Betty, as many of you know, and most of the people in the rest of the world don't, is that Ugly Betty, the very concept was created in Colombia. And look at it, how it's spread around the world. Now, I'm not sure what the licensing rights are, but when I graduated from master's degree in film from USC, one thing I said to people is, you go ahead, make the movies, I will go ahead and sell my projects too, but at the same time, what I want from you is your secondary rights. I want to be able to what's called repurpose, to reuse this, to take the back catalog.